Hello students, today you are going to study biomolecules and some biomolecules like the lipids, proteins and the carbohydrates. In class you have studied carbohydrate and the classification of the carbohydrates. Let us see the lipids as a biomolecule in the online classes. Let us see the what is lipid and the types of lipids. So this is simply regarding today's lecture is regarding lipid and the types of lipid. Let us see the first slide regarding the definition of the lipids. Okay, so lipids are the group of substances with greasy consistency with long hydrocarbon chain containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Lipids Lipid is broader term used for the fatty acids and their derivatives. They are soluble in organic solvent like the benzene, but lipids are insoluble in the water. Okay, let's understand the fatty acids. Fatty acids are organic acids which are composed of three different components. First one is carbon, second one is hydrogen, and third one is oxygen. Okay, and the fatty acids are basically organic acid which are composed of the long chain of the hydrocarbon and ending with the carboxyl group, that is the COOH. Let us see the types of fatty acids. Okay, one by one. So, as far as fatty acids are concerned, there are two types of the fatty acids on the presence of type of bond present between the carbon atoms. Let us see the first type of the fatty acids, that is the saturated fatty acids. In fatty acids, there is no double bond is present in the carbon atoms in the long hydrocarbon chain. Okay, so there is no double bond present between the two carbon atoms in the long chain of the hydrocarbon. Okay, for example, palmitic acid, stearic acid found in animals and in plants. There are few fatty acids present also in plants. Okay, let us move towards the one more thing, that is the unsaturated fatty acids. As far as unsaturated fatty acids are concerned, in these fatty acids there is a double bond present between the carbon atoms, okay, in a long chain of the hydrocarbon chain. Okay, for example, linoleic acid found in the seeds of the plants, it is a classical example of the unsaturated fatty acids. Let us see few more things regarding the lipids. Okay, so lipids are the molecules that obtain hydrocarbons and make up of a building blocks of the structure and the function of the living cells. Examples of the lipids include the fats, oils, waxes, certain vitamins such as the vitamin A, D, E, A, and K, and the hormones. And most of the cell membranes that is not made up of the proteins. Lipids are not soluble in water, as I said earlier, as they are no polar but are thus soluble in non-polar solvents such as the chloroform, benzene, etc. Excess carbohydrates in the diet are converted into the triglycerides, okay, which involve in the synthesis of the fatty acids from the acetyl CoA, okay, in the process, and this process is known as lipogenesis. Okay, that is the conversion of the carbohydrates into the lipids and takes place in the endoplasmic reticulum. So this process takes place in the endoplasmic reticulum. In animals and the fungi, a single multifunctional protein handles most of these processes, while the bacteria utilize multiple and the separate enzymes. Okay, so this is simply regarding a few more information regarding the lipids. Let us see the structures of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. As I said earlier, this is the structure of saturated fatty acids, and here the double bond is totally absent. Okay, as far as this unsaturated fatty acid is concerned, you can see this double bond between the two carbon atoms. Okay, and this ends with the carboxyl group, that is the COOH. This also ends with the carboxyl group, that is the COOH. So this is the basic difference between the two types of the fatty acid, that is the saturated fatty acid, and the second one is the unsaturated fatty acid. So fatty acids are nothing but the long chain of the hydrocarbon, and these fatty acids end with the COOH. Okay, but the basic difference between the saturated and the unsaturated fatty acids is the double bond. Okay, yes, the basic thing is that double bond present between the carbon atoms. As far as unsaturated fatty acid is concerned, so this shows presence of double bond between the two carbon atoms, while this saturated fatty acid lacks a double bond between the two carbon atoms. So this is the basic difference between the two types of the fatty acid, that is the saturated fatty acid and the unsaturated fatty acid. Okay, let us move towards the few more things of the fatty acids. Fatty acids can be classified into simple, compound, and the derived lipids. Okay, so let us see what is simple lipid. So these are esters of fatty acids with a various alcohol group. So what do you mean by the esters? Esters means it is a natural substance, that is the organic compound, and that is produced by combining of the acid and the alcohol. So esters means these are the combinations of the acids and the alcohol. So these combinations are known as the esters. So simply, simple lipids are basically the esters of fatty acids. It means that in simple lipids, fatty acids are associated with the alcohol. Okay, various types of the alcohols. Okay, so this is simply regarding the simple lipids. So once again, simple lipids means these are esters of fatty acids with the various alcohols. Okay, let us see few more points regarding the simple lipids. Fats and the waxes are simple lipids. So fats and the waxes are the classical examples of the simple lipids. Fats are the esters of fatty acids with the glycerol. Okay. So fats when combined with the glycerol, these are known as the fats. Okay. That is the CH2OH, CHOH, CH2OH. So the molecular formula is CH2OH. CHOH, CH2OH. Okay, so triglycerides are three molecules of the fatty acids. Okay, with one molecule of the glycerol. So as far as triglyceride is concerned, this shows presence of three fatty acids and one molecule of the glycerol. That's why this is called as a triglyceride. Okay, because this consists of three fatty acid molecules. Okay, again, unsaturated fatty acids are liquid at the room temperature and are called as the oils. Okay, so unsaturated fatty acids remain in liquid condition at room temperature. That's why these are known as oils. Okay. One more thing regarding the unsaturated fatty acids. It is unsaturated fatty acids are hydrogenated, hydrogenated to produce the fats. It means that unsaturated fatty acids are hydrogenated. Hydrogenation means addition of hydrogen to the liquid to form a liquid or to turn. I repeat my sentence. Hydrogenated means addition of hydrogen to the to liquid unsaturated fat to form a solid. So basically, unsaturated fatty acids are liquid at the room temperature. They remain in the liquid in the room temperature, but they are converted into the solid by adding the hydrogen. Okay. So this overall process, conversion process, is known as the hydrogenation process or the uh, hydrogenated process. So in by this process, unsaturated fatty acids, it means that the liquid fatty acids are converted into the solid by adding the hydrogen. And the classical example of this one is the vanaspati ghee. Okay, so vanaspati ghee is a classical example of the unsaturated fatty acid which is converted into the solid form by adding the hydrogen. So this is simply regarding the simple lipids. Let us move towards the few more things regarding the fatty acids. Fats are nutritional source with high calorific value. So these fats are most important things as far as the uh, nutritional source is concerned. So fats act as a high nutritional source with the high calorific value. Fats act as a reserve food material. So these fats act as a reserve food material. Okay. in plants it is stored in the seeds. As far as plants are concerned, these fatty acids are stored in the seeds, okay, and these fats later on used in the process of uh, seed germination process. Yes, so these fats are later on used in the process of seed germination. So in plants, these fatty acids are stored in the seeds. Okay. So this is simply regarding the fatty acids present in plants as well as in the animals. Okay. As far as again animals are concerned, these fats are present in animals in and these fats are stored in the adipocyte form in adipose tissue. Yes, as I said earlier, these fatty acids are stored in the adipocyte form. Okay, adipocyte form in the adipose tissues of the animals. Okay, while in case of plants, these are stored in the seeds. Okay, and later on, these are utilized in the process of germination, or that process is also called as the seed germination process. Okay, fats. Let us see regarding the fats. Fats deposited in subcutaneous tissue acts as a insulator and they minimize the loss of body heat. These are also useful in the to minimize the body heat, and these are stored or deposited in the subcutaneous tissue, and these are acting as a insulator or the insulator to minimize the loss of body heat. Okay, so these are different roles of the fats in our body as well as in the plants. A few more things are regarding fats. That is, the fats in internal organs act as a cushion like structure, okay, to absorb the mechanical shock. As far as animals are concerned, so these fats are stored in the form of cushion which absorb the mechanical shock. Okay, so they can absorb a mechanical shock. Okay, so this is simply regarding the role of fats. Let us see regarding the wax. Okay, so wax is another example of the simple lipid. As I said earlier, wax and the fats are the classical example of the simple lipids. Let us move towards the waxes and the role of waxes in the plants and the animals. So wax is another classical example of the simple lipid, and they are esters of long chain of the fatty acids along with the long chain alcohol. Okay, so these are esters of fatty acids. It means that these should be combined with the alcohol. So these are long chain fatty acid or the esters of long chain of the fatty acids along with the long chain of the alcohol. Okay, so these waxes are insoluble in water and yes, insoluble in water. Waxes form a water insoluble coating on the hair and the skin of the animals. So these waxes present in another form in animal hairs and the skins. Okay, so they act as a coating like material. Okay, so form waxes form water insoluble coating on the hair and the skin of the animals. So this is simply regarding the role of waxes in the animals. As far as plants are concerned, in plants waxes form a outer coating on the stem, leaves and the fruits. So as far as the hydrophytes are concerned, those who mainly grow in the water, so their outer layer of the leaves or the stem is basically covered with the waxy coating. As far as the lotus plant is concerned, and the leaves of that plant is concerned, so the leaves as well as the stem of the lotus is entirely covered with the wax. Okay, so that wax protect entire internal structure of the plant and inhibits the entry of the water inside the plant. So this is simply regarding the wax present in the plants. Let us move towards the one more thing, that is the compound compound lipids. Again, these compounds are also esters of fatty acids containing other groups like the phosphate and the sugar. Okay, so these are slightly different from the simple lipids. Okay, because these compound lipids are associated with the other compounds like the phosphate and the sugar. But as far as simple lipids are concerned, these simple lipids are associated with alcohol only, okay, or the various types of the alcohols, but these compound lipids are associated with the phosphate groups or the phosphates and the sugars. Okay, so those fatty acids are associated with the phosphate are known as the phospholipids, while those fatty acids are associated with the sugars are known as the glycolipids. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the glycolipid and the phospholipid. So the difference is very simple. That is, the those who are associated with the phosphates are known as the phospholipids, while those fatty acids are associated with the sugars are known as the glycolipids. Okay, so there are two types of the fatty acids or the compound lipids again. One is phospholipid and the another one is glycolipid. So this is totally depend on the type of compound, whether it is phosphate compound or the sugar compound. Okay, so simply I repeat the definition of the compound lipids. So compound lipids are esters of fatty acids containing other group like the phosphate and the sugar, etc., which are also called as the phospholipids and the glycolipid respectively. Okay, so let us see regarding some examples of the phospholipid. Some phospholipids like the lecithin. Okay, licithin. Lecithin is also have a nitrogenous compound attached to the phosphate group. So in addition to the phosphate group, they have the phospholipids have the phosphate group in addition to their nitrogenous group. It means that the phospholipids consist of fatty acids, nitrogenous group, as well as the phosphate group. It means that these have nitrogenous compound attached to the phosphate group. So this is simply regarding the compound lipids. Okay, let us move towards the a few things regarding the phospholipids. Phospholipids have both hydrophilic polar groups and the hydrophobic non-polar group. Let us see the structure. Yes, this is a lipid bilayer in the aqueous medium. This is lipid bilayer structure, and this lipid bilayer structure shows the two portions. These are heads and these are also heads towards this side, and these tail-like structures are known as the non-polar groups. Okay, so the this entire structure consists of head portions and the tail portions. Okay, as far as this layer is concerned, this shows head region and the tail region. As far as this layer is concerned, this shows the head region and the tail region. Okay, so this is simply regarding the two layers. That's why this is called as the lipid bilayer structure. Okay, so as far as phospholipid is concerned, this is a classical example of the phospholipid, and this model is called as the lipid bilayer structure in the aqueous medium. As far as these head portions are concerned, these head portions are, yes, these head portions are hydrophilic, hydrophilic, while the tail portions, these heads as well as these heads are hydrophilic, means these are water loving, while these tail portions are hydrophobic. So these are also called as a water hater. Okay, so this is simply regarding the hydrophobia means the water hater. Okay, and the philia means the water lover. Okay, so this is simply regarding the role of head portion of the phospholipid bilayer structure and the tail portion of the phospholipid bilayer structure. Okay, so these two portions play different roles. Okay, so head portions or the heads act as the hydrophilic structures and the tails act as the hydrophobic structures. Okay, so this is simply regarding the role of uh, yes, phospholipids in the lipid bilayer in the aqueous medium. Okay, so phospholipids contribute. Again, let us see few more thing regarding the phospholipids. Phospholipids contributes in the formation of the cell membrane. As far as the cell membrane is concerned, this is also a one type of cell membrane. Okay, this is also a cell membrane. Okay, so phospholipids contribute in the formation of the cell membrane. Glycolipid are also called as the cerebrosides. I repeat my sentence, glycolipids. Glycolipids means, as I said earlier, glycolipids are the combinations of fatty acids with the sugars. So those combinations are known as the glycolipids, while those fatty acids combined with the phosphates are known as the phospholipids. So this is the basic difference between the glycolipid and the phospholipid. So glycolipids are also called as the cerebrosides. So these are important lipids which play an important role in our body. Okay, so large amount of them have been found in the brain. This is most important thing, that is the large amount of glycolipid uh, have been found in the and brain in white matter as well as the myelin sheath of the brain. Okay, so these are most important part of the brain, and these two parts are composed of the glycolipid. So this is simply regarding the glycolipid. Let us move towards the third type of lipid, that is the derived lipids. Derived lipids or the steroids or the sterols. Sterols, sterols or the derived lipids. Let us see the one more slide, that is the derived lipids or the sterols. Okay, so these are derived lipids and these are composed of the hydrocarbon ring. Let us see, these are composed of the hydrocarbon ring and the hydrocarbon side chain. Okay, so one of the most common sterol is the cholesterol. So cholesterol is a classical example of the sterol, widely distributed in the all cells of the animals. Okay, specifically in the nervous tissue, it is a free or the ester form. As far as the nervous tissue is concerned, it is found in the free form or in the ester form. Ester form means these are combined with the other substances. So these are known as a ester form. Okay, so uh, as far as derived lipids are concerned, hormones like the adrenocorticoid hormone as well as the sex hormone like the progesterone hormone and the testosterone hormone, so and the vitamin D are synthesized from the cholesterol. See, the role of cholesterol in our body is most important. That is the synthesis of the cortico, adrenocorticoid hormone as well as the sex hormones like the progesterone hormone as well as the testosterone hormone and the vitamin D. So all these things are synthesized from the cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol is not found in plants. Yes, it is not totally found in the plants, but it is present in small quantity in the plants. Okay, it is present, but the presence of the cholesterol is very less. As far as the plant like the Dioscorea. Okay, in plants these are present in the cheaply, and these hormones present in the plants is known as the phytosterols. These are called as the phytosterols. As far as the yam plant is concerned, that yam plant is also called as Dioscorea, and this Dioscorea produces the steroids compound called as the dios diosgenin. Diosgenin. I repeat my sentence, in yam plant, and this the yam plant and the scientific name of this yam plant is Dioscorea. Now this Dioscorea plant produces steroids or the steroid compounds, and these steroid compounds are known as diosgenin. This diosgenin is mainly used in the manufacturing the anti-fertility pills. So this diosgenin is mainly being used in the production of the anti-fertility pills, that is the birth control pills. So this particular steroid produced by this Dioscorea plant is most important plant hormone which acts as a uh, anti-fertility hormone. Okay, which is mainly being used in the manufacturing the birth control pills. So this is simply regarding the types of lipids. So today we have studied so many things like the definition of the lipids. I repeat my again the definition of the lipids. So lipids are the group of the substances with the greasy consistency with the long hydrocarbon chain containing the carbon, hydrogen and the oxygen. I repeat, lipids are the group of substances with greasy consistency with long hydrocarbon chain containing carbon, hydrogen, and the oxygen. Okay. Then these lipids are classified into the types of fatty acids like the saturated fatty acids, as I said earlier, then the unsaturated fatty acids, and these are totally depend on the presence of bond between the carbon atoms. Then we have studied types of lipids. So you have studied the simple lipids. So these simple lipids are the esters of the fatty acids with the various alcohols. Okay, so when fatty acids are associated with the various alcohols, these are known as the simple lipids. Then the compound lipids, you have studied the compound lipids. So compound lipids are the esters of compound lipids. So compound lipids are the esters of fatty acids containing the other groups like the phosphate and the sugar, which are known as the phospholipids and the glycolipids. Then we have studied the steroids. So steroids are derived lipids. They have, and these are composed of the hydrocarbon ring and the hydrocarbon side chain. So this is simply regarding the lipids. Okay, types of lipids and the saturated and the unsaturated fatty acids. So remaining part like the proteins we will see in next lecture. Thank you.